No, dial it back a little bit. What was that all about?
It's not racial profiling. It's a descriptor. Oh, shoot. That's going to get me in trouble.
Uh-huh.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Always Two There Are, a Star Wars discussion podcast. I am Josiah, here with my co-hosts Brady and Steven.
Howdy, what's up?
Yo.
Howdy, what's up? Heck of a combo of greetings there.
Or we would try to change it up on you.
It's like a like a cowboy with a cowboy hat, and he does like the hat tip, howdy, and then like the head up, what's up? It's like a little it's a little 1-2 punch.
I don't know,
like,
it felt
howdy, what's up? We're in a really good mood today. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. It just felt like the natural thing to say in that moment.
Howdy, what's up?
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, you know what? Good for you. Good for you. This week we're gonna be doing a little bit of what's happening in Star Wars, talking about Star Wars Celebration. It just happened last weekend. And just kind of going over the announcements and kind of how we feel, what we're excited about, how we think things are going to turn out, etc. And then we will get into our main topic this week, which is going to be discussing or revisiting Revenge of the Sith 20 years later. We all went to the movies this past weekend and watched the 20th anniversary re-release, and it was fantastic. Absolutely amazing. I cried.
Did you?
He did. He teared up a little bit.
Oh.
When the fanfare started, I was like,
oh yeah, you already told me about
right?
this.
And then when you see the ships like fly down and you hear the music, it just immediately like my brain went back to like the Lego level for that one. And like the memories of like me and my brother discovering the turbo button on those old Xbox controllers, and like you could just like completely changed the entire game.
Yeah.
And so it's just like it was a lot of like childhood memories watching this movie like 10 years ago, because I didn't watch it when it came out. But yeah, it was just like a huge nostalgia hit, and probably one of the nerdiest things I've ever done is just cry at the fact that I was in the theater watching a Star Wars movie, and it was great.
So I'm gonna probably like demark myself as a Star Wars fan, but the first Star Wars movie I've ever seen in theaters was Episode 9.
I don't know what I was expecting.
But you redeemed yourself with Episode 6, 1, and 3.
No, Episode 4, 5, and 6.
Oh,
1
really?
and 3.
Nice.
I saw the original trilogy for the very first time they ever aired at the Texas Theater in Dallas. Which, if you don't know, that was JFK's favorite theater. Like, they have pictures and interviews with him all over the wall there.
Nice. I think my first in-theater Star Wars film was the 98 remasters of the original trilogy. That was a lot of fun. I was 10 years old, 9 years old at the time.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why my mom never took me to because I mean the prequel trilogy came out while I was growing up, but she never took me to them.
Yeah, I kind of invited myself to go see Phantom Menace because it was in our youth group, our after school youth group, and one of the counselors was inviting a bunch of kids, and then he invited pretty much everyone. I was not one of the ones who got invited like at that moment. So then I just kind of like walked into the conversation. It's like, oh, you're going to go see Star Wars? And then he's like, yeah, you want to come? So.
That's a very Steven thing to do.
I was going to say the same thing. I love Star Wars. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Okay, like you got to take me, please.
I cannot wait to go with you guys.
I'm just seeing him like.
And he's just like, yeah, okay.
You want to come?
That is not how they said okay, but
all right, Steven.
Well, how do you know?
He didn't.
You were a child.
He didn't deny the fact that that's exactly what he said when he walked into the conversation.
I remember that. There were a lot of Darth Maul lightsabers.
Well, it was Phantom Menace.
I know. There's just a lot of people had Darth Maul. Those the one with the telescopic.
Yeah.
They were
We've
swinging
talked about
around
those several times.
waiting in line.
Have you guys seen the ads for the twist sabers? There's a guy on Kickstarter. It looks like he's basically like 3D printing these, but it's basically he's trying to improve upon the telescopic lightsaber, and basically like all of them are built to where like at some point in the hilt it breaks and you just twist and the blade comes out.
Oh,
And
so
it
looks much more natural.
So it's a spring-loaded thing.
Yeah.
No, you like it's mechanical. You twist
you manually
and it like
twist it open.
So you have to
and
twist
it
a whole
pushes
bunch.
it out. No, it's just one like twist and it comes all the way out.
Yeah, you know, it's just a one twist.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
But the reason I got one like ad and then I liked it because the one he was displaying was the Lego hilt.
Oh, nice. I remember we've talked about that too.
Yeah. And so, yeah. Anyway, for our first segment today,
What a transition.
I know, heck of a segue. We're going to be talking about Star Wars Celebration and some of the different things that got announced that weekend. And I already did this whole spiel, so let's just go ahead and get
I have
into
to admit,
it.
I have not looked at any of the announcements for celebrations this year.
I'm surprised Eclipse didn't get announced. We got nothing on Eclipse.
Is it coming? You said it was coming back, right?
It is.
It got revived.
They have confirmed that it has still been in development.
It's been in
It's
development.
been in development since it got announced, and that it is almost for surely going to make an appearance at next Star Wars Celebration, which is 2 years later, and we're already 5 years in the hole.
At least, man. It's been a long
I know
time.
Eclipse
When
hasn't.
did it get announced?
Because Eclipse had a trailer when we were still at 84.
Yeah, but Eclipse hasn't been through developmental hell like KOTOR has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eclipse has just been quiet, like really quiet.
Because I remember they released those reveal trailers,
They
and
released
then there's
that.
been nothing.
Nothing.
So the same thing happened. I was watching the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, and they announced what I thought was an announcement
For Eclipse.
for an IO interactive game. The people that made Hitman, that is James Bond. So they got the James Bond IP, and they're making the people that made Hitman are making a James Bond game.
Oh, that's gonna be nice.
Oh, it's gonna be fantastic. I looked it up to see if I could find more. The same trailer had released 4 or 5 years ago, just without the Nintendo Switch like opening bumper.
Ooh.
And so it's just like the reveal, and I'm like that game's been. We have had no news for like 5 years.
That's not a good start.
Yeah,
That's
and
not
so
a good start.
it's just one of those things that it might, or they'll just shadow drop it. And like they'll do like Star Wars Celebration coming out on May 4th.
I don't know. It's gonna be hard to beat Oblivion's Shadow Drop.
Oh man.
There's an indie game that's been doing really well. It's called Expedition 33. It's a turn-based RPG.
It's not an indie game, but it is not from a AAA studio. I wouldn't classify it as an indie game because it's not a roguelike. It takes very heavy inspiration from
How many indie games have to be roguelikes?
most indie
lot of them
games
are.
are
Indie
roguelike.
just means an independent studio.
It is independent, but like indie is also a different genre of games as well. I mean,
Yeah.
You could literally go to the Steam store and there's an indie section.
No, 100%. It's like fair, but like Nintendo does an indie spotlight every year, and it's different games of different
it's
genres.
like third party developers.
Yeah, but it's I wouldn't.
The game is very it doesn't scream indie to me because it's very Final Fantasy heavily influenced. It's very character development. It's the turn-based. It's turn-based, but it's not. And I've watched gameplay trailers of Expedition 33, and it reminds me of my favorite video game of all time, which is the only other game that had the exact same combat system as it. It is a timing-based combat system. Yeah, where like it's turn-based like a Final Fantasy game, and you would press like X to attack, and your character will do an animation, and during that combo or like whatever interaction they have, you have the button prompt that comes up, and you have a quick time event to play it. But that is the primary combat mechanic,
Nice,
not like God of War where it was like an actual quick time event. It's a quick time event as the combat mechanic.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What game was the
Legend of Dragoon for the PlayStation 1, which deserves a remaster so bad. A remake. Bring it out of hell.
Well, a remake or a remaster?
A remake. I mean, it's a PlayStation 1 Final Fantasy 7 era PS1. Like, it's got 4 discs. The character doesn't have a face. Like, you can make out their body and hair because, you know, shapes make enough, but they don't have a clear definition of eyes. But it's an amazing story. Love, death, war, triumph.
I don't know why my first reaction was to say the Marines. They got a new slogan recently.
Yeah.
It's the Marines. We're built for this. When it used to be the few, the proud, the Marines.
I don't like that. I like the old one better.
No,
Yeah.
it's weird.
Old one's better.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything like anyone talking about it, and I don't know how recently. I've just been getting a lot of ads on Spotify for the Marines, which I'm like, wrong clientele, guys.
Wrong demographic.
They wouldn't let me in if I tried.
You're not quite that religious yet.
No, I'm just obese and pre-diabetic with high blood pressure and asthma.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right, so anyway, the first big announcement. It wasn't really an announcement. They had a couple trailers that dropped that were not trailers. They were just logos spinning in space. And it was really upsetting. First one was Mandalorian and Grogu. Got a release date May 22nd next year.
It has been confirmed. Has been filming.
Okay.
I'm excited for that.
I am too.
I'm hoping we get some kind of.
So, non-VIP members got just the trailer. There has been reveals of, like pictures from the VIP events.
Oh, okay.
I've seen a picture of, Din Djarin walking against Zeb Orrelios.
Oh, well, he did show up. Was he?
He
not?
was in Mandalorian season 3.
He was in the finale of Mandalorian season 3. He was part of the rebellion. He was wearing the pilot outfit.
He was in he was like in a diner.
Yeah, he was
with
in a
Dave
cantina.
Filoni, like sitting right next to him.
And I can't remember the guy's name, but the chubby Asian dude that's a captain or something.
He's an X-wing pilot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
He's popped up in a few places.
Yeah, he's one of the like recurring characters.
Because he was in 1 or 2 episodes of Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And I think we first saw him season 1 of Mandalorian.
He was one of the. He was
one of the officers.
One of the officers that tried to like
pull him
over, and then he also showed up in a scene with
he was in the.
What is her name? She got Gina Carano's character. Oh my gosh,
Cara Dune.
Yeah,
Cara Dune. Yeah,
wasn't he also in the jailbreak episode?
No.
I thought he was in the. I thought he was one of the X-wings that showed up in the.
Maybe.
No, it was an Asian lady, and there was a guy. It wasn't him though.
Oh, I thought he was in that episode.
You just described Ming-Na
a lady and a guy. I'm sorry.
You just described Ming-Na Wen and Tamara Morrison.
Yeah.
I don't think you meant to, but you said an Asian lady and a guy, and I was like, that could be. I can't remember her character's name.
That could be I'm blanking.
Boba Fett and the freaking bounty hunter.
Yeah.
What is her name?
I can't remember her name.
She's in Bad Batch. She's in.
Don't worry, guys. We are Star Wars fans.
We just blank sometimes because we have ADHD.
But it could also be Rose Tico and Finn.
No. I would have noticed if it was Finn.
No, fair, but you specifically described an Asian lady and a guy.
They were unnamed characters.
It could have been, holy moly, dude.
It was Wedge Antilles. Like, no, it wasn't.
I'm blanking on everything. It could have been Sabine and Ezra.
There's just a lot of Asian ladies and a guy.
Okay, honestly, I get your point. Okay, would you like me to say the guy was black? Like,
was he?
Yes.
Oh. So it could still be Rose and Finn.
Oh my god.
Anyway, Mandalorian.
I was
and
trying to not
Grogu.
get us canceled for racial profiling.
It's not racial profiling. It's a descriptor. Oh shoot, that's gonna get me in trouble.
Uh-huh.
Anyway,
But I'm the bad guy now.
no. Filter. Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm personally really excited for this.
I am too.
I think we're gonna see hopefully a lot. I hope Ezra comes back. I hope.
Filoni has said this was not part of Star Wars Celebration. This was when he announced it. He said that it's going to be like the culmination of his like universe.
Yeah.
That he's created, including like Din Djarin and everybody, and
So-
like
And Ahsoka.
So this is gonna
Ahsoka. Like that. This film is supposed to be like the finale of basically everything Dave Filoni has created for Star Wars. Is my interpretation of it.
I would think just for the characters that are
Well,
involved.
since I
so
would
that'd be
think since
Ahsoka,
Mandalorian season one,
Sabine.
Ahsoka, Sabine.
Ezra.
Do you think?
Mando,
Well, yeah, because
Grogu.
Sabine's a Mandalorian. Is her clan ruling right now,
No.
No, that's
No.
or did her clan get just totally wiped out?
dude. I'm blanking
What-
on names today.
What
Oh my
Clan Ren?
gosh.
Yeah,
They got mostly wiped out because remember
I mean they were mostly.
they were white. Her clan was wiped out when
But their clan was based on Concord, right? Not on Mandalore.
no.
Yes.
Yeah, it was on Concord. It wasn't on Mandalore. No,
I think
Okay,
it was
'cause-
Concord.
it was in like a really snowy area of yeah, it was Concord. I'm thinking of the one Bo's from.
So they wouldn't have been wiped out by the Night of 1,000 Tears.
No, but they were wiped out by because in Rebels, Sabine built that weapon for the Empire
Yeah,
that
right.
like atomizes things that are connected to Beskar,
Yeah.
and her whole clan was wiped out by that.
Yep.
Oh, did it get used
like a
on her?
whole-
It
clan?
got
it's a whole
used on
plot
her
point.
clan. Yeah.
Have you've seen Rebels, right?
Have you
Yeah.
seen Rebels?
I'm thinking about those who survived and
Okay.
her
are in
mother,
Rebels.
her mother and brother are, I believe, the only confirmed people. Like
Mhm.
like a handful of people from her clan.
Yeah,
are
because
alive.
I'm thinking about the remnants of her clan that we interact with in Rebels that we see.
It would have been her mother and her
'Cause
brother.
I think her
There's
dad
her
was
mother-
there too.
Was he?
I
No,
think so.
not in least those episodes. 'Cause
But it was like a handful
might
of
show up
people
towards the
because it
end.
gets used on them again. Remember when she ends up destroying it? Like they end up like 5 of them end up having to fight the like weapon and they end up blowing it up. But
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
she
remember
loses
that,
a
yeah.
couple of people in the process.
yeah, okay.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
her brother sacrifices himself for
Mhm.
and so she can get away.
So she can get away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I really hope we see some of those characters come back. The guy that played Ezra did a fantastic job.
Was it as Montefondi? Was his name?
Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah. Fan cast for years.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that.
They made
It's
it
the
off.
second, third time that Dave Filoni's done that.
They made it off of that world in the other galaxy, right? And
No,
then
they're stuck there.
So
Oh, they're
Ezra,
stuck, okay.
Ezra did.
Ezra did.
Ezra
but
snuck
Sabine
back.
and Ahsoka are stuck there.
Sabine and
Okay,
Ahsoka are stuck.
okay.
Ezra came, and Balin is also over there as well.
And Balin and Shin.
Did you see the recast for Balin?
Yes, he looks really good.
I have
Okay.
not.
So, have
I
you
have-
seen Game of Thrones?
Yes.
It's the dog.
So he,
Oh, the Hound.
The Hound is the
I
actor.
didn't know how to feel about it
Oh,
because he doesn't
interesting.
look.
They've shown visuals of him in the
Interesting.
Balin outfit, and he looks really good.
I was hesitant because I didn't recognize him, and he doesn't look like.
Sandor Clegane. I like.
I'm blanking on his name. The guy that played Balin.
Yeah.
Dude.
Great. Now I'm blinking on it too. Ray. No.
Charles.
Ray Stevenson.
Ray Stevenson.
No.
But yeah, but he looked as Balin and kind of the concept of the character. I think he looked pretty good. But yeah, I'm super excited for that. Next big announcement was Star Wars Starfighter, Sean Levy's Star Wars movie starring Ryan Gosling.
Is Sean Levy the
Oh, I
main
heard about-
actor?
I
I thought it
saw
was
that-
Ryan Gosling.
Sean Levy's the director.
I saw.
Oh, yeah, Ryan Gosling's the main
Ryan
character.
Gosling.
I saw that Ryan Gosling was going to be in a Star Wars movie.
I am very excited for this.
Okay.
I think Sean
Like,
Levy.
It's no Ray Stevenson, but he does fit the part.
I think Sean Levy, just from Ryan Gosling and knowing the actor that he is, And the fact that it's called Star Wars Starfighter, I have a feeling we're going to be in some kind of... It's either going to be like a Poe Dameron-esque character or a Han Solo-esque character.
It's been confirmed that he's like an ex-Starfighter pilot. Like it's a very Poe Dameron type situation.
Now, is he going to be an ex-Rebel pilot or an ex-Imperial pilot?
I don't know. Sean Levy is the perfect director for a movie like that.
What other movies has he done? So
Sean Levy, he did the Night at the Museum movies, which
those are fun.
They're funny. They're heartfelt. He's done a ton of other stuff. Those are just the ones.
Anything remotely in comparative to the galaxy far, far away?
Hold on.
Holding on.
Okay. Real Steel.
Ooh, I love Real Steel.
Deadpool and Wolverine. Free Guy.
I like Free Guy too.
Night at the Museum. Cheaper by the Dozen.
I hate Cheaper by the Dozen.
The Pink Panther.
Another awful Steve Martin movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a hot take.
I don't like Steve Martin.
Hold on.
I'm kind of there with you.
On. Arrival.
What is that?
It's a great sci-fi movie. Jeremy Renner and Amy Adams. Amy Adams is a link.
Yes, that was a phenomenal movie.
She's like trying to communicate with the aliens, and
they're like
she learns their languge. It's a fantastic sci-fi movie. The aliens
are like these weird.
Hold on.
They don't communicate in any way we recognize.
Don't talk about it. You need to go watch it.
So good. It's so good.
What are you doing tonight after we record?
I'm going to bed.
That's fair. What are you doing Wednesday night?
Nothing.
Cool. You should come over and watch Arrival.
Okay.
It is a really good movie.
Have you seen Life?
I don't think so.
Life has Ryan Reynolds. I think it has Idris Elba in it. It has what's his name?
Bro, we are absolutely butchering naming people on this episode. We are blanking. Look, I had a
long night last night.
But yeah, Sean Levy, he balances action and drama, not like drama like reality TV, drama like dramatic storytelling.
Yes.
And humor really, really well. I think Ryan Gosling is the perfect casting for a movie like that. I could totally see Ryan Gosling in the cockpit of Starfighter.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like a life or death situation. He's cracking jokes, but he's like actually scared he's gonna I'm really excited for this movie. I think it'll be a really good example of something that like I've talked about a lot on the podcast of like letting Star Wars be different genres. Mm-hmm. And I think this will likely be the best version of that we've seen, just because it is being given to someone who is so proficient in what he does. Like Sean Levy, say what you will about Steve Martin, Sean Levy only makes bangers. And so, but literally the first 9 movies, Deadpool, Wolverine, Free Guy, Night at the Museum, Real Steel, Adam Project, Night at the Museum 2, Night at the Museum 3, Cheap by the Dozen. So there's every one of
those
there.
Except Cheaper by the Dozen.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would agree.
But it won't be as like goofy as Cheaper by the Dozen.
It's not the movie. It's Steve Martin.
Okay. Yeah. I disagree. I love Steve Martin. He also plays the banjo I can't say that word, like a really cool guy. The next.
What?
Steve Martin?
No. Dial it back a little bit. What was that all about?
Oh, I was gonna say plays the banjo like an MFer, but I can't say that.
Oh, okay. That's not what I took with that.
I was thinking like a BA.
Yeah. That sounded very racist.
Again, this has to get cut. I'm white. I can. Banjo's part of our culture.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So it's part of our redneck roots.
Okay, so not all white people is the banjo connected to. You know, it's from people in like Mississippi and.
I was gonna say it says the guy from Louisiana.
No, I'm not from Louisiana.
Your family's from.
I have family on my mom's side's from Louisiana, but I'm not from Louisiana.
So it's in your blood. there's a clip from Kill Tony where this guy says, Tony's like, do you have any special skills? And this guy's like, I play guitar like an MFer. And he like actually does. And it just like, it stays in my head. Anytime someone's like really good at something, my brain goes to plays it like a MFer. But I don't say that word anymore. Anyway, the next announcement from Star Wars Celebration is Maul Shadow Lord.
Ooh.
The animated series starring...
No. Well, yeah, of course, it's starring Sam Witwer.
Starring Sam Witwer.
But here's the better part.
That's fun.
It has been confirmed that Darth Talon is going to be in it.
Really?
Yes.
Darth Talon.
Like his new apprentice,
Darth Talon is like the
apprentice. Which really messes up the timeline. But
it really... Darth Talon in the timeline doesn't come until like 120 years after
episode 6.
Yes. She is part of the...
She falls in love with Cade Skywalker. She's part of the one Sith, and she's an apprentice of Darth Krayt, who was Asherad Het, who was a Jedi during the Empire era. He went and hid on Tatooine among the Sand People. But Darth Talon is like the thirst trap poster girl of Star Wars. You've never seen Darth Talon? She's a red Twi'lek with like all the tattoos and stuff.
That took such a turn that I was not expecting.
Because she's like almost exclusively depicted in like string bikini type armor. Your classic like sexy girl medieval armor type. Just a broad...
Sure, you love that, Steven.
Yeah, like she's like totally the Star Wars like pinup girl.
Yeah.
Like I could totally see her on the side of an X-Wing.
Which actually I found at a I didn't get it. But I found at a used bookstore the Legacy comic issue where she first appears, but they were asking quite a bit for it, so.
How much is quite a bit?
It was like 100 something.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
The way that you were going with that sentence, he was like the Star Wars pinup girl, and you were like, yeah, I found one time, and I was like, Steven, where are you going with this? What dark side of the internet
one
were
time,
you on?
like 3 weeks ago, actually, 3-4 weeks ago.
Anyway, Maul Shadow Lord, we've been talking about needing more Maul content for years now, so.
I want to see...
I have never said we needed more Maul content.
I have. Josiah has.
We have
there's a lot of
plenty of Maul content.
There's a lot of empty... There's a lot of gaps in his story now that they brought him back, and then we got the one clip in Solo.
Yeah.
And that's what Rebels is or Shadow Lord is supposed to bridge, is the time in between.
That's great.
And that's that's the part of his history that's missing, is we have him all the way up until he takes over the Black Suns.
Crimson Dawn.
No, that's the Black Suns at first.
We lose him.
The people whose heads he chops off.
But in
Clone Wars, yeah. And then we don't really see him do anything with the criminal organizations until except Solo. For like 1 or 2 episodes. Then he
disappears.
Then he disappears
because he gets.
Then we see him again in Rebels. We see him again in Rebels, and now he's old and he's alone, and then he dies. And then we see him in that one end credit scene in Solo. So we don't really have any of his story when it comes to building his criminal empire and the Crimson Dawn.
Maybe we'll get Jude Law in animation. I liked his character.
I still haven't seen it.
Oh wow, this is a hot take. It always has been, always will be. I loved Solo.
Oh, I loved Solo. I haven't seen Skeleton Crew.
Oh, not Jude Law. Paul Bettany.
Okay, yeah, you confused me.
That's why I was wrong name. I'm sorry.
I was thinking like, well, okay, so Jude Law's a pirate.
Maybe we could see Jude Law.
He knows the Force.
Great job, Steven. He hasn't seen it.
I'm sorry.
Thanks.
So I was thinking.
Now I have no reason to watch it.
Could have guessed that.
Oh, it actually got spoiled before Steven. I just wanted to make it feel bad.
Now I don't feel nearly as bad.
Well, you still feel bad, but mission accomplished.
So when he mentioned Jude Law, I was thinking like maybe he worked with Maul. maybe his pirate gang is a splinter off of Maul's empire.
Probably not. He's not proficient enough to have worked with Maul. Maul has very high standards.
Well, yes.
And
I'm thinking just like
Jude Law's character was kind of your run-of-the-mill. Like, if we're talking pirates, like, there's, like, Jack Sparrow, Barbossa, like, all those guys. And then there's, like, just the random pirate that, like, happened to get his own crew. That's Jude Law's character. He's kind of just a dude.
he's no Hondo Ohnaka.
No, he's not. And the fact that we didn't get Hondo Ohnaka in Skeleton Crew made me angry.
Yeah,
but we are getting new Hondo Ohnaka content.
Good. It's
Where?
The
When?
DLC for Outlaws. The
Okay.
story DLC for
Okay.
Outlaws is
so. Do you
is
know?
about-
Might actually make me play that game.
Yeah.
Do you know if the character will still be voiced by
He has to.
Jim
be.
Cummings?
I do not know. I
You
just know
can't
he's,
have Hondo Ohnaka without.
I just know
that
he's
voice.
going to be
You
in
say
it.
that, but he didn't voice Minsk in Baldur's Gate 3, and like he made that character.
Wow, that has nothing to do at all with what we're talking about.
Look, I don't care that Jim Cummings didn't voice Minsk and Boo and
I don't
Baldur's
either.
Gate 3. I'm more upset that Dritz wasn't in it, but you know.
That's fine.
I
My
would- I
point
would've
is
preferred
that
Dritz over.
Again, my comment was you can't have Hondo Ohnaka without his voice.
yeah, you
and what
can't
you
have
said-
you can't have Minsk. Jim Cummings made the character.
Okay,
Well, the game
but
made
see,
the character.
so what we're talking about Star Wars and a character in Star Wars.
Oh, we never died.
So-
we never
yeah,
stopped
yeah.
talking about Star Wars and talking about other things.
Listen, you. So my statement was you can't have Hondo Ohnaka without that voice, and you took that to mean you can't have a Jim Cummings voiced character without Jim Cummings, and that's not what I meant. I meant specifically Hondo Ohnaka. I care this much for podcast only audio only listeners. That's 0 about whatever you're saying.
My
that if you had to finish that could have been really bad. Because that sounded like I care very little for audio listeners.
Yeah. no, I think I was
Wrong.
no.
we're just
Wrong.
we're just yeah,
You're
wrong.
wrong.
no.
Fake news.
Because if they can make a character that needs his voice and they can do it without him, then they can do it again.
But was the character still good without his voice?
Yeah. Like Minsk in Baldur's Gate 3 was done really well. I think
Hondo Ohnaka is not the same case. You cannot have Hondo Ohnaka without.
Well, I mean, I would have thought the same thing with
His voice is so iconic.
Well,
I know.
and this is where I'm going with this. You know, Aku in Samurai Jack was voiced by Akko, and he died in between seasons. You know, the fifth season and the final season, which was like 20-something years.
Yeah.
And they replaced him. He sounds similar, but it's not the same. This is the guy who voiced Iroh in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah. And same thing.
Like that's an iconic voice.
Voice actor for Iroh in the second half of season 3. Because I think they had his lines already recorded for the first few episodes of season 3
So
of,
there-
No, are you talking about?
of Avatar.
No, he finished Avatar.
No.
No,
so
he
that
didn't.
is that is why Iroh is mostly silent for almost all of season 3 of Avatar. Like all the time he spends in the jail cell, he has very few lines. When he's talking, there's an episode where he talks to Zuko and he never says anything. There's a lot of like silence from
But
Iroh.
the
and
lines
it's
that he
because-
does have is a different voice actor.
Really?
But he did a really good job of sounding like Mako.
But yeah, because we get the Tales of Bossing Say at the very end. It's in honor
Yeah.
of Mako.
Yeah.
And that's when we get the
Oh,
soldier boy.
But they had like the first...
That was a tribute to.
They had
Mako.
like
I
the
thought that
first
was him
couple
and
of
his son.
episodes.
Well, that in the show it was, but it was the
was like the
behind the
last-
scenes look was like Iroh was up there like singing this song, but like we know that was like for.
I'm blanking
Mako.
on another name. DM for Critical Role.
Matt Mercer.
Matt Mercer, bro.
He voiced...
This is our realm here.
I think he was the voice of Minsk in Baldur's Gate 3. And he did a good job of sounding like the original Minsk, but...
Bro, I remember there was a clip of Baldur's Gate 3. It was Matt Mercer, and it was just like, it was a clip of, they gave Matt Mercer the game, and it took him about 30 minutes to break it.
Is Matt Mercer?
Oh, I thought
I had to look it up.
For some reason, my brain
Yeah.
was thinking you were looking up who the DM for Critical Role was, and you were like, "It's Matt Mercer." I'm like,
He already said
duh.
it. Yeah.
No, I know.
No.
It was just my brain. I blanked. Anyway, no, there's a city you're not supposed to be able to get into until really high level, and Matt Mercer just like stacked like 60 boxes on top of each other, and then just jumped over the wall, and it was one of those, like, it was early on in the release, and it was just them saying like, hey, it's a D&D game, you can break it.
Yeah.
And it was super cool.
So that was my point.
I need to play that game.
You before Baldur's Gate 3, I would have said you can't do Minsk without Jim Cummings, but then they did, and it worked out pretty well. People were upset that they didn't keep that continuity, but I think Jim Cummings he just didn't want to reprise the role.
Well, I still disagree with you.
They got Matt. So I think they can. I think it's a possibility. I agree with you that it won't be the same. You should really have Jim Cummings voice Hondo Onaka. But from the production side of it, I can totally see them being like, we don't want to hire him, or if he doesn't want to reprise it, they'll go with a different voice actor.
And
if it's Matt Mercer
as Hondo Onaka,
yeah, I mean, he did a good job with Minsk.
Matt Mercer can do a lot of voices, but he can't do everything.
That's true.
Like, I love Matt Mercer. I've played a lot of RPGs with Matt. Matt has been credited for a lot of voice work. However, he is, and I know he loves it. I know he's like so honored to do the role, but he is going to voice Vincent Valentine in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, who replaces Steve Bloom.
That's a hard one to replace,
that
too.
is not... I grew up with Steve Bloom. Like, he's Spike Spiegel. He's Sam, the Toonami guy. Like,
does most trailers.
He does most trailers. Like, he is also a very prolific voice actor, and he's like the only English voice actor that I really enjoy. And it rubs me a little wrong. Vincent Valentine's also my favorite Final Fantasy VII character. Anyways, I don't know how big the DLC is going to be for Outlaws. I don't know. I know they're quoting it as a story DLC, but I don't know if this is going to be the difference between, like, you know, Dragonborn from Skyrim, which is like over 70 hours of content, or it's like 5 hours of story and 30 hours of miscellaneous objectives.
It would probably be closer to like what we got in Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Which was an extra 3 hours.
Yeah. But it has been confirmed to have Hondo Onaka in it. Which
good. He
is a good and a bad thing for his character.
He is one of my favorite Star Wars characters. That's
he's fantastic.
A non-Force user. I love. And the second when first here watching that Rebels episode, or not Rebels episode, Clone Wars episode, when he shows up, immediately I'm like, oh my god, that's Minsk.
I love how he tricks Dooku and Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yeah.
All in the same episode.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
He's so scrappy.
I love it.
I do too. I love him. Okay.
What's next?
Dave Filoni confirms that he's still working on Mortis and the World Between Worlds and Ahsoka.
What do you mean? Elaborate.
That's what the tweet says.
Hey, so...
But, like, that's vague.
I think he's just...
Like,
we didn't get any like official Ahsoka season 2 announcements.
No, we did. It's been confirmed to start filming in August of this year.
Yes, but no like trailer, no story or anything.
So is that how
Dave Filoni said we're still working with Mortis and the World Between Worlds?
Okay, so I bet that's how Ahsoka and Satine are going to get back, or not Satine, Sabine are going to get back from the other galaxy.
Satine
they could bring Satine back. I mean,
the world between worlds
that's
can bring
true.
people back.
Hey,
but
crazy
she
theory.
And Sabine, so
crazy
she and
theory.
Sabine can just walk through a portal and just appear on Lothal.
I don't know. I think Dave Filoni has a really good opportunity to include Abeloth.
Oh, yeah.
I think he has a really good opportunity to flesh out the Mortis arc even more than just like a 3-episode mini arc.
Yeah.
I think he has.
And I think that's what his tweet means, is he's developing the story and the lore and Mortis's involvement.
Yeah,
but
well, because we saw the statues of the father and the daughter.
Yeah, on that planet. So there's definitely going to be a World Between Worlds portal there.
Yeah, like the statue that Balin Skull is standing on at the end of Ahsoka
what if that's
is the father.
What was calling to Balin Skull?
I think it's Abeloth. I think it's Abeloth. I think it is. And it's really minuscule, but if you go back and watch the episode, you can see a light coming up from that mountain.
Yeah,
I think it's Abeloth.
Because that's what he was standing there looking out at, was that light. Yeah.
And that's supposed to be like the original planet of the Dathomirian sisters.
You
like
think that the light is Abeloth? Or is it the...
I think the light has something to do with where she is, not her herself. What I do think that...
Is it possible it's the... what is it that Abeloth... She like drank from something.
She drank from a well.
Yeah, and that's what gave her immortality and power.
She was.
Could it be that?
It could be, because she was regarded as, like, quote unquote, the mother. She was the mortal that first encountered.
She was like their caretaker.
Yeah, she was a non-force sensitive.
Yeah,
like she had no force powers,
and she was just kind of the babysitter of the daughter and the son. But then she, loving them like her own children,
and loving the father like a husband,
she
wanted to be on the same level as them and drank from a well.
Yeah, and she didn't want to grow old and die and leave them behind.
And then and the well was a like a pure conduit of dark side energy.
Was it dark side energy or just the Force?
It was dark side energy. It turned her into what she is.
It was Red Bull.
It gives you wings.
Galaxy spanning.
Turn her into what she is, which is what.
But that's a lot of fan theory, is that Abeloth is going to have a lot to do with season 2 of Ahsoka.
You asking what she turned into? What is her name most reminiscent to in D&D?
That they're not the same thing.
I know that. No, an aboleth.
Abeloth.
Abeloth and aboleth.
It's like the squid. It's not a mind flayer.
No,
I have to specify.
But they are an aberration.
They are an aberration. They do hail from the astral sea, but they can.
And they're like the Cthulian analog in D&D.
They're from what's called the Far Realms, which is outside the astral sea, which is where like beholders come from. The Abeloths come from. The mind flayers come from there, where it's like where all these eldritch things.
Eldritch, yeah.
So yeah, Aboleth is very she's not eldritch in theme or anything, but she is like the immense, unknowable, irredeemably evil source of like just pure
of raw power.
Yeah.
She's what Nihilus to me, I think she's like what Nihilus was becoming.
Possibly. Like
Nihilus was reaching that threshold that she was at when she drank from the well, and then she's just over millions and millions and millions of years
she's imprisoned. So
and she's cross paths with Luke in
the
EU.
comics. It was Luke who ultimately defeated her, and a lot of people thought that that's what the Chosen One meant, was she was an aberration within the Force, and when Luke defeated her, he kind of got rid of her and brought balance back to the Force. So he was the Chosen One, and that was the balance being restored.
Yeah, but
so those were some of the fan theories.
That's people reading the prophecy wrong again.
A prophecy wrong.
Much like the Jedi.
Yoda said it, man.
But yeah, Ahsoka has been confirmed. I like that. I like that he is confirmed that he is fleshing it out more, because while I like the Mortis gods, I like the daughter, which speaking of the daughter, a lot of people think Ahsoka is the daughter now.
I thought it was just her owl.
Yeah,
her owl is linked to Ahsoka.
Right, but the owl is the daughter.
Yeah,
like
but
reincarnated.
Kind of.
I don't know.
They think Ahsoka is like the current host for the daughter.
All I
like
care
a
about
conduit.
is every time we do something like this, I have to have a hopeless dream of seeing someone in live action, and that is Sam Witwer in live action as the son. probably won't happen.
He would make a good son.
He would make.
He's the son.
Well,
He voiced the son.
well, voicing and looking are two different
Yeah.
things.
But he's Sam.
Then that's what we're saying.
If
We're
I-
saying
if
he
I
looks
could-
a lot like the
If I
son.
could curse, I would say he's Sam effing Witwer.
I mean, yes.
I think Sam Witwer could do Maul live action. He could do
Yeah.
Sam Witwer. He's a phenomenal actor.
Oh yeah.
First of all,
Yeah.
but he would.
But I like the World Between Worlds.
Yeah.
It is both makes me very curious and it is very scary.
It makes me really curious
foreign
too.
to
It is.
And
the Star Wars universe. Very new.
It's very
yes.
new.
It's unknown.
It's unknown, but it's heavily hinted at that it is either it is confirmed time travel.
Yeah,
It
because
is confirmed that it has the ability to traverse time.
but it doesn't appear
But it's-
to.
It's not like Ezra
create-
goes back in time and it creates a different timeline.
Yeah, because
which we had a theory for a long time about.
because when he goes to try and when he considers saving Kanan, Ahsoka's like, you can't do it because if you did, then who will stop the explosion and then you'd die.
Yeah.
And then Kanan would
Which is
just,
like, it's funny because like I feel like everyone understands that as well. You can't affect the timeline when like the person telling him that is Ahsoka, who was dead and got pulled out of the rubble. So it's kind of like a little bit of a catch-22, but
kind of. I would say the difference between her death is no major event happened afterwards, right? Nothing hinged on her not dying. Or hinged on her dying that would have been altered by her surviving instead. Whereas with Kanan, if he didn't die, then they would have all been caught in that explosion.
Yeah.
So
It would have. It was the difference between the actual ending and a new ending for the show. But then, like, it is confirmed that it is either a doorway into the past or future that doesn't break the rules of time travel.
yeah, I wonder
It has
if
been confirmed that Anakin
oh yeah,
can exist there as a physical manifestation. That's what happens in Ahsoka. Like he's
was
not
he a physical
yeah.
manifestation?
I mean, they fight. She's not dead.
but you also know it's not
I don't remember
it's
if she
not-
was wet.
it's not truly Anakin because Anakin as we know him
No, it was
when yes, but when Vader when Anakin dies, he becomes a fully realized Force ghost.
But that's the thing is that's the thing that like why it is truly him because he is at his potential that he was always supposed to have because it shows him like perceivably succumbing to the dark side again, but then he tames it, right?
Was she wet? Was she still like dripping water in the world between worlds?
No.
I think then I would settle on it being a vision.
So there's some. Well, the thing is,
no.
hold on, because she, when Ezra goes in, he's witnessing everything in the third person. When Ahsoka goes in, she's experiencing memories in the first person. When Ahsoka drops in, she, as far as we understand it, she is then reliving memories in the body of her like 14, 17 year old self.
But okay, so are you arguing that he's not physically there because she's living memories as a first person?
No, so if she's reliving memories, then that's not. I don't know if that was like Anakin's like honest to God Force ghost, or if it is like
it's not an apparition.
some kind of like manifestation of Anakin or something. Because the way that I understood in the end of Return of the Jedi is that like when Padme is like, there's still good in him, I know there is, and then Luke redeems him, and so then Darth Vader is gone, and Anakin is what remains.
Well, Anakin is what remains. That's why he's a Force ghost. But you have to understand that he doesn't just lose that connection that he's had for 20 years. It doesn't just go away. And Anakin was always meant to be more. That's the whole premise of his fall. So if you take away that constraint, and now he's on the side with every single Jedi that has ever fallen, he has unlimited amount of time to be able to get where he is. You know, the Force Ghost is, other than how to be able to do it, it's still just as much as explained as the world between worlds. There's no surefire way of explanation there. You know, maybe they're just, you know, it's like, you know, Bill and Ted, you know, they're just sitting around in a white room having, you know, drinking beer and hanging out and sharing stories like Aristotle and soap crates.
I'd say it's more vision along the lines of Luke's Darkside Cave vision, where that vision seemed to be...
Because he experiences...
That was a mental image from the Force giving him a mental image of his fear.
Sure.
She is not she was on death's door. She was drowning.
Right.
And Anakin reaches out to her to bring her back and fulfill her final lesson. That's the whole point. No,
Luke physically interacts with that vision in the Darkside Cave.
But the Darkside Cave manifests. The difference is that, the argument that I'm making is that a lot of what she experienced, she experienced those memories, and so then I would be hesitant to. I would just take everything I see with a grain of salt, because.
No, I think it was actually Anakin, because Anakin is, you know, he's born of the Force. We've all talked about this.
Yeah,
he is born of the Force, and if he's able to, if he's able to fulfill and reach his full potential and understanding, he would have a mastery of both. That was the whole point of the Mortis arc. He was supposed to replace the father and keep balance.
Yeah.
Why would he not be able to have both sides? Why would he not be able to control them? Sure, he's a Force ghost in the sense that it's an it's a mental image. Like, she's not dripping in the world between worlds. I'll agree with you. She's not physically there like Ezra was.
Right.
But that was Anakin. It wasn't a mental projection or like a perceived of that. It was her. It was him showing her.
It leans. I feel like it leans away from the.
And then he's in the final episode.
The George Lucas version of the balance between light and dark, where George Lucas is very clear that the light side is good, the dark side is evil, and
but it doesn't. It doesn't though.
It seems like it leans more towards the Last Jedi interpretation of the Force, where it's it's light and dark, and
the Bendu
balance of the Force is equal parts light and dark, and that was never.
To be fair, though,
that's always been littered out through, though.
Yeah. To be fair, a lot of the Legends material on the Force does kind of leave it more ambiguous than what Lucas had always interpreted.
Yes,
and I'll say that Disney also tends not to stay in line with what Lucas had envisioned.
Yes, but
I mean, if you didn't, you wouldn't have half this stuff. Because he confirmed, he's publicly stated that he does not consider any of the EU canon. Those are their stories, not mine. If we go on what George Lucas says for carbon copy, we won't get anything that we have.
I had a point, but
well, make
I
it.
Lost. No, I forgot it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Hold on.
Holding on.
No, it's gone.
Oh, sorry. And I will agree with you that, light and dark, there are. I can see
when.
You're welcome.
You got the train back on track.
The understanding from Return of the Jedi is Anakin bringing balance to the Force was killing Palpatine, at least allegedly.
My understanding of bringing balance to the Force was him killing all the Jedi because, there were thousands of them and only 2 Sith. It wavered.
Yes,
It wavered in the light in the side of the light. That was the whole point
and I
of
would
the
say
misread
that's
prophecy.
why Obi-Wan was like, you were supposed to destroy the Jedi,
Destroy the Sith.
not join, or destroy the Sith, not join them.
Yeah.
Because at least for in the Jedi's interpretation is bringing balance was
There were no Sith.
there were no Sith and would be no dark side users, or at the very least no Sith, because from the Jedi perspective, I don't really think they considered other dark side entities like the Night Sisters to be much of a threat, because the Night Sisters kind of just kept to themselves.
Yeah. They weren't like domineering and conquest.
Yeah, like the Sith are. So that's their interpretation of it. Lucas is on record saying like the dark side is evil,
Yeah.
the light side is good.
Is good.
And I don't know if I've ever heard him say anything about what it means to bring balance.
I don't think
but,
I have either.
But given how he, did the prequels, I would say his conception of bringing balance is probably what actually happened versus what the Jedi thought was going to happen.
So Anakin falling and killing all of the Jedi was according to the prophecy.
Yeah.
Wild.
Well, that's like the whole thing is that's why Yoda was like prophecy misread may have been.
Yes.
Because if you look, if you take, and it's going to sound very, basic, but it gets the point across. If you take the Force, and there's clearly two sides, light and dark, put it on a scale. During the prequel era, the light side is way heavy. Well,
But that's with an assumption that the natural state is a 50-50 equal balance, when that may not be
Right.
the case.
And here's
my understanding of Star Wars has always been that balance of the Force meant like the light side is in like the majority in control,
but they
because
were
it
at
is
that time.
because good.
But they were at that time.
yeah.
They literally were. They thought the Sith were extinct for thousands of years.
So I guess those are the three real big theories.
Yeah.
Then around the Force is bringing balance to the Force means replacing the father and bringing balance between the sister and
the
the
brother.
son, or the
son.
daughter and the son,
Yeah.
who are the avatars of their each respective sides of the Force. So there's
Yeah.
like the first theory of what it means to bring balance. The next one is the Jedi's theory of
Just eradicate the Sith.
eradicate the Sith and get rid of the greatest evil the galaxy's ever known. And then the third one
which
is
is on the
more
side
of
of the light.
is bringing balance between the light and the dark so that they are at equal levels in the galaxy, which could either be numerically, if there are two Sith, then there are two Jedi, which end up being
The case.
it ends up being Luke and Leia.
Yeah, but prior to that, it was at least perceived it was Yoda and Obi-Wan.
Yes.
They
But
were
we
the
also
only
know there are a
confirmed Jedi-
lot of Order 66 survivors. The other, though, is
Considering to original trilogy, it
Mhm.
was only Yoda and Obi-Wan.
The other one, though, is the other way you could interpret that third version is in terms of power, because the dark side had been concentrated into just two users. Palpatine is the most powerful Sith Lord ever, and according to Lucas, but also if you look at some of the things that Palpatine could do in the comics, like he could summon a force storm big enough to swallow an entire planet. So I mean, he was, in terms of his dark side energy, he was a walking Death Star essentially.
I just feel like
So-
that I don't.
Yeah, but
that
even
just,
then,
like,
George
doesn't
Lucas
make,
said
like,
that none of that is his Star Wars.
like Return of the
That's true,
Jedi
yes.
then doesn't really make sense, because like the end of the story is like good wins, and both like Palpatine is dead, Vader is redeemed, and like the end of the end of the story was like there is like the Sith are gone and there's only the light.
Well, that's the thing, is that the prophecy wasn't a thing in the original trilogy. You just heard about Anakin. He's like, but my father was a Jedi. Like, I'm a Jedi like my father before me.
Mm-hmm.
But there was nothing talking about a prophecy of a chosen one
I know,
until the
it's just-
prequel trilogy.
It feels like
Yeah.
a fairly significant, like, retcon even.
But in terms of like the prophecy, if we're going off of just the prophecy, Anakin was a being born of the Force. You know, he's effectively a demigod, given mortal. You know, he's a god given mortal flesh. Because the chaos, you know, the Force is explained decently in Clone Wars, but never. You know, we know of the cosmic force. We don't know how deep it is. And then the prophecy was clearly misread because they thought balance was him destroying the Sith. And then, you know, he single-handedly in one night eradicated all Jedi. Except for 2. And there were 2 Sith. Him and Palpatine. Numerically and in terms of users tapping into the Force. That's balance.
But at the end of Return of the Jedi, though, when he redeems himself, kills Palpatine, but by that point, the light side had now been concentrated in Luke so much that he was the strongest Jedi who had ever been, really.
Do you think Luke was kind of like Rule of Tude, in a way?
Kind of, because it was him and Obi-Wan, then Obi-Wan dies, and now it's him and Yoda. Then Yoda dies, and now it's just him. And then Vader redeems himself, kills Palpatine, and we know Vader's truly redeemed even in the Force because he becomes a Force ghost.
He becomes a Force ghost.
So, I mean, if you would take that out and extend it, then the prophecy, you know, from a meta perspective, would be destroying the Sith. Because now the Sith are done. They're gone. Palpatine's dead. Vader has no apprentices, and he's not a Sith anymore because he's fully redeemed.
Okay. This is just the way I've always understood it.
Yeah.
And then the prequels, my understanding was that George Lucas was setting up the fulfillment of the prophecy of like the Force was thrown into such imbalance that Anakin murdered all the Jedi, and it was his redemption that he brought balance to the Force by bringing the Force
I think that's
back
how I've
into
always,
the light.
That was kind of always my theory of it, was the prophecy was not fulfilled in Order 66. It was fulfilled at the end of Return of the Jedi. When the last true Sith was dead, his apprentice redeemed and no longer Sith, and now there were just 2 Jedi.
Well, so
I've never felt that way.
The difference here is
because
the prophecy is either fulfilled in Order 66 and then no longer applies, because the prophecy can't apply to Return of the Jedi. So it's
possible.
either fulfilled in Order 66 and then no longer applies, or it's fulfilled in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, there's no in between.
And
there's no real evidence.
I'm curious what the canon.
I don't know if there really is.
I mean, I think there's good evidence for either.
Well, that's what there's no evidence to determine which one is officially
until George Lucas says this is what it is.
Yeah.
I never understood the prophecy as being it was created for the prequels and was contained solely within the prequels, but was more the prophecy was George wrote it understanding the way that it would translate into the previously released original trilogy.
And I understand that, but it's also one of those things is where if you look at Anakin as a concept, he's a Jedi, right? But he's also making him born of the Force also makes him kind of his own player in the sense. He applies to the Force, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
Because my interpretation was always that because he clearly, he brought, albeit unknown to him, he brought balance to the Force, thus killing all the Jedi, bringing them down to 2, and then in redeeming himself, that was a personal redemption. Because even then, if you look at it from a perspective, for that brief moment, there still would have been an imbalance in that prophecy when he kills Palpatine.
And a lot of people will think that Luke is
the chosen one.
The chosen one, because it was Luke because of how Anakin killed all the Jedi, and this is what Yoda might have meant when he said a prophecy misread could have been, is that they didn't misread
the prophecy, but it wasn't Anakin.
Yeah, that's how they misread it, was they did not correctly identify the chosen one.
And see,
and
but
so because it was Luke,
but Vader's the one that
but
kills
it's
Palpatine.
but it's
right,
also
but it was
But
Luke
Luke
who
turns him.
it was Luke who turned him, and in so doing brought balance back
But then if we're going on
by eliminating the dark side.
if we're going in that perspective, George Lucas confirmed that Anakin is his perceptive chosen one to the prophecy. So if we're going off of George Lucas's word, Anakin is the chosen one.
Yeah.
So then that reading of the prophecy is
And didn't the father confirm as well?
yes.
The father was like, he's the chosen one.
He's the chosen one. He's the only one that's ever
and that's
been
the
born.
father's interpretation of the prophecies. Like, the chosen one is meant to take my place and
Yes.
keep my children in check.
Yes.
And keep them locked up here on Mortis.
Yes.
And keep them in check and in balance with each other so that neither of them can escape this place.
And then that clearly didn't go how he wanted it.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
But
But
that was how the father interpreted. Now the question is, was the father the originator of the prophecy?
this is where the fleshing out is going to really help us out. This is where this whole concept of the prophecy and talking about it really developed from us talking about a world, the world between worlds and what it really means, and that Anakin being the chosen one and completely able to balance both sides because he is the chosen one. He is a entity made of the Force. He'd be, fleshing out Mortis and fleshing out the world between worlds and how it connects to the Force. Because also when Ezra was saving Ahsoka, we saw Palpatine basically as a Force storm.
Yeah.
Trying to invade it.
Because if the father created the prophecy and then put it out there so that the chosen one would come to Mortis, then he'd be like, oh, good, you're finally here. Take my place. I'm dying.
Yeah.
And here's what you need to do. So it could be the prophecy is the father just saying things and putting that out there in the galaxy in order to find the one who will be able to take his place.
Yeah.
And then it's just him kind of controlling things.
Well, then it's also has it been confirmed if how the father was made, or is he just poof, he's existing?
The father, the son, and the daughter are.
I know they're physical manifestations of.
Well, they're celestials. I think their canon is that they are the last surviving members of the celestials race, who are the first.
Oh, okay.
They're the first race in the Star Wars galaxy, and they created unimaginable things. The reason why it's so hard to get into the unknown region of the galaxy is because the Celestials built a giant subspace hyperspace barrier that kept ships from being able to actually go there. And it's since then the people have found ways through. It's kind of deteriorated, so they're able to slip through and things like that. But the Celestials were the ones that barricaded that part of the galaxy. They're very mysterious ancient race.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, the father, the son, and the daughter are members of that. They're the last survivors.
Okay. Well,
And-
I asked that because I was trying to deliver to the point of what did the prophecy precede him? Did he create the prophecy, or did he read the prophecy? You know what I mean?
So that was what I was really kind of getting at too,
Yeah.
when I said if he's the originator of it or not. Even if it doesn't come before him, it still could have just been some Jedi's vision.
Yeah.
But if he was the one who's I'm going to make this prophecy, or I'm going to give the prophecy as a vision to a Jedi, then his interpretation would be the correct interpretation, and Anakin should have stayed on Mortis. And then Mace Windu would have been able to
live.
Well, no, because Mace Windu would never have discovered Palpatine to begin with.
Yeah.
If not for Anakin. So, but all right.
I'm excited for him to flesh it out.
Yep. Any more announcements?
No, that was it.
Okay.
No, there's some
An hour
more.
and
There's some more.
I
We had Zero Company. We had gameplay revealed. I'm excited for.
I looked
Zero
at like
Company?
3 different
Yeah.
sites for like. I don't know if that was a Star Wars Celebration announcement.
Breaking my chair.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I mean, it got there was more information on it. It's a XCOM based tactical game, but in Star Wars, like during the Clone Wars.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Do we get to play as clone commandos?
No, you get a team of like selectively handpicked members. You have like, you have a Mandalorian. You have like a droid Jedi. You have a clone. We have like an actual clone trooper.
Okay.
That'll
be fun, I think, to
You
play
have an Umbaran sniper.
Nice. I like
working
the Umbarans.
working with the clone trooper.
He is the Umbaran wearing his
yeah, he's wearing his helmet and everything.
Good.
Yeah.
I do. And that is my favorite arc in Clone Wars 2 is the Umbara arc.
I wonder if it's because it has Pong Krell in it.
Okay.
No, actually, I think their world is really cool.
Umbara is really cool.
I love it. It's such a cool planet.
It's like really dark.
Okay,
It's dark,
more.
but it's like bioluminescent.
Sorry, Josiah. Sorry, we're frustrating him, guys.
No, I forgot about this one. Couple more announcements.
Vision Season 3.
Vision Season 3.
Yep.
Yep. I'm looking forward to it.
And
We called this.
So we have talked about this. You probably haven't seen. You might not have seen it. We are getting the first Visions extended show, and the episode they're using is the Ninth Jedi,
Okay.
which
yes.
we can go back to our podcast
Season
2
1.
years ago
And we
when
called
we
that.
talked about when we were talking about Visions, and we were like, of all of these shows, there is one that would make the best extended anime because of the way they set up the cast of characters, the mission.
Mhm.
They had a mission to go save her father, and it was just like you had all of the pieces to put together.
Yeah.
We could.
Yeah.
I
I
need to
remember
go,
that conversation.
We need to go clip this because
Yeah.
I saw the picture is just Star Wars Visions presents the Ninth Jedi. And I immediately sent it to
Awesome.
Brady, and I said, "We called it.
We called
That's a good one. That's a good episode.
This is our first
we did
we
it.
called this.
Yeah, and
Like-
that's the one where they all show up in that space station
They're like
to get
asteroid space station.
to get their lightsabers, and then they all turn red.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Except one.
except for one.
The one
one-
boy, the poor guy.
Was the one boy, and then the
Well,
older.
there's the master who was in the droid suit, like the mech suit.
Yeah,
There's the master. There's the older
he was hiding in the
40s,
mech,
like
in the
knight.
droid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like the old master, the knight age.
And then there was the one who ended up having a purple saber.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But he was originally red.
And then, he turned.
Yeah, because during the fight he turned back.
He turned back, but
'cause
like when they all
something
got,
reminded him of
it was the master talking to him.
something reminded.
Yeah.
He got reminded
I think
of
his name was like Jugo
where-
or something.
Yeah, where he came from, and
But like when that episode leaves off, you just have a shot of you have the old guy,
Mm-hmm.
you have the middle-aged, grizzled, just redeemed, you have the young Padawan, you have the real young,
Prodigy.
sunshine and rainbows, prodigy,
Mhm.
pure good. I'm pretty sure there was a droid in there.
but
it's
that was
just,
the master hiding.
It's just it's a
No, the
perfect-
droid was the spaceship was the one sipping the cup of
Yeah.
oil that fairy.
Oh,
built.
yeah.
yeah.
So when we were talking
That
about
was a great droid.
when we were talking about who should A2TA be, that was one that came
That
up.
was
in
that
my
was
head.
mine.
Uh-huh.
That was one
mine.
that came up. That was that would be a good A2TA.
Yeah.
But it's just all the other ones were really good stories, standalone stories.
Mhm.
But that one was so well set up. We're it could be a book series, it could be an anime. It was just
Yeah.
you have the cast of characters. It's
It's coming. It's
and it's
This one,
it's
this
coming
one
this
excites me.
month, isn't it? Or is that the one that's coming in August
so
or October?
Visions is in October. The Ninth Jedi will be in
Next year.
26.
There is something we're getting.
May 4th, we're getting Tales of the Underworld.
That's what it is.
Yes.
I knew we were getting something.
The next Tales
dude,
of the Jedi.
Dude, if
yes.
Quinlan Voss is in it, that's gonna be our second call. That's
It
gonna be our
is, yeah.
second call.
Mhm.
Dude,
I do. I want to see.
I want to see Quinlan
But
Voss.
it was just so long ago, man. Like
I
2 years we had that conversation, and we need to. So I need to go find the audio, and I wish we had video because it would make a really good. But I want to go. I'm gonna make a reel that's like a long time ago or like 2 years ago in a podcast studio far away or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's us talking about it, and it like goes black, and then you see the logo.
That'd be so cool.
And then it cuts to this conversation of like, we called it. Or like maybe like screenshots of our conversation of like, dude, we called it 2 years ago.
We called it.
I got so excited. 'Cause it was so like refreshing to just like, we did it. Like we did a thing.
There's some stuff going on. One of the episodes in Vision Season 3, I believe, has been confirmed to be a sequel to The Bride.
Really?
Yes.
Bride's the one where he carries her up the mountain.
Yes. And she has those like boots that augment her speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe one of the studios is the same studio that did The Bride.
That was a good episode,
and it's going to be a sequel to The Bride, because when I was looking up that reveal, I saw talk about The Bride in the same vein.
All right, so the studios for Vision Season 3 will be Polygon Pictures. Does anyone know anything about Polygon Pictures?
I think the only ones I'm going to know off the top of my head are Production IG and Trigger.
Yeah.
WIT Studio?
I don't know it.
Kinema Citrus Company?
I know Kinema Citrus.
What do they do?
Yeah.
I believe Kinema Citrus does. What do they do? What is it? Summer Wars. I believe they did Summer Wars.
I've not seen it.
It's a movie.
Nice.
But I know Kinema Citrus. They've done a couple things. I'll look them up while you're doing that.
David Production.
I've never heard of that.
Production IG. You mentioned that. Production Studio Q.
I don't know that.
No, I don't know it either.
Trigger. That's the big one. Kamikaze Dauga plus Anima.
I don't know it either. Is that it?
I think so. Yes. The Ninth Jedi. Guys, it's just so like we're a Star Wars discussion podcast. So we talk about Star Wars, and we're not in the theory space. We drop theories, but we're not in the we're not the theorizing.
We literally just spent like
type.
30 minutes talking about theories around the prophecy.
But that's theories of. That's not like
we don't
watch a trailer and then theorize what's going to happen, and then like our brand
not often,
our brand is getting things right or wrong, right?
Yeah,
and so
true,
it's really nice, and like it was very exciting to just naturally have that conversation without actually expecting it to go anywhere.
You're talking about earlier,
calling the Ninth Jedi.
To see the announcement 2 years later and like remember back to that conversation was just such a cool moment. It was very, and the fact that we have it on like recorded on the internet,
we can show it. Be like, we talked about this. I want to see Quinlan Voss. I got so excited that I never noticed in Revenge of the Sith that Obi-Wan
Master Voss.
I never noticed that before. I was like, oh, look, another Quinlan Voss.
Yep.
It's happening. It's manifesting. Quinlan Voss is going to be in Tales of the Underworld. I'm calling it.
Yeah.
I mean, they name dropped him in Obi-Wan.
They dropped him in Kenobi, but like, that's it.
Yeah. And it was a name drop just by his seeing it on the wall, right?
Yeah, it was just.
I don't think Obi-Wan ever said his name.
He said Quinlan was here.
Oh, he said Quinlan was okay.
He said him by first name too.
But it was because it was like that underground, force sensitive, like
it was the underground. Yeah, it was the underground railroad that like Quinlan ended up founding,
and like he was like running force sensitive kids like under the Empire's nose,
and just people.
So like that could be. I wouldn't be surprised if that was like Asajj's one of the episodes of.
Or that could be like the whole like story arc.
Or could be because so.
I know that we've talked about them being contained, like they're all self-contained.
Well,
but...
so in Tales of the Jedi, I haven't watched Tales of the Sith.
I haven't either.
Tales of the Jedi, Ahsoka's were 3 separately contained stories, and Dooku's was 3 It wasn't continuous because there were time jumps, but it was 3 episodes showing Dooku's like continual story.
Yeah.
And so I have a feeling it will get the same. One of them will be 3 contained, and I have a feeling that would be Cad Bane's. It makes more sense for Cad Bane's to be 3 individual stories, and then for Ventress, because Ventress is more of a... Cad Bane is a more beloved character, but with Cad Bane, people just want to see more Cad Bane. Like, we want to just see Cad Bane doing Cad Bane things. With Ventress, she's like, there's so much more like unknown about her story. There's so much more like Ventress there's a lot more narrative potential.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Cad Bane is just like super cool. And I think this is kind of one of it was almost kind of the problem of Book of Boba Fett. People didn't want to see the narrative potential of Boba Fett. We just wanted to see Boba Fett
do cool
Boba Fett things.
Yeah.
Which, like...
I agree with that.
People may have wanted to see it, but, like, the way they did it, it was like they almost went too far into it. Right? Whereas...
I wanted to see it. I didn't like the direction that they took.
Fair.
I think that's my issue.
But, like, with Cad Bane...
that's an issue, too.
Yeah.
Or, like, with Solo. Right?
I like Solo.
I loved Solo.
I love Solo.
But most people didn't. Anyway, most people aren't asking for a Cad Bane origin story. A lot of people would love to see a Ventress origin story.
Yeah,
I would like to see a Cad Bane origin story. That'd be cool.
We don't need a Cad Bane.
Well, that's the thing.
No, we don't need it, but I'm saying we're talking about personal preference here.
Sure.
I think Cad Bane, like, it would be nice to see, like, you get one moment where before he has the
rebreathers.
The rebreathers, and so then you see him create those, right? And like stuff like that. But I think Ventress would be more suited to a 3-episode arc rather than, I think Cad Bane, I think we know so much about him that you could give us moments. Same with Ahsoka. Ahsoka was a fully fleshed out character.
Yeah.
And so with Ahsoka, there were moments kind of in between. Like, one of the episodes was literally just like a 2-second fight against an Inquisitor. But it was a moment of like, oh, we haven't seen this moment before. Whereas with Asajj, I think it's more like Dooku, where like, we've seen Dooku for an extended period of time, but we didn't see anything of him before. And so they gave us a 3 snapshots of his life. And I feel like we're more likely to get that for Ventress.
Yeah. When you say origin story for Cad Bane, what do you mean by origin story?
You want me to give you like a direct comparison of my expectation?
Well, just to kind of
Project 1313.
Hey.
A literal startup of Cad Bane and how he got to where he is.
Yeah, because when I think about it, I would like to see like a Cad Bane the early years type thing, but not a like, here he is as a little kid and he's good, and then this thing happens and now he's bad.
I meant like a Project 1313.
But like seeing a thing about Cad Bane when he's like before he's built the reputation and he's just...
Well, that's what... You know about Project 1313, right? Yeah. That's what that was. It was like Boba Fett's like starting
on level
1313 of Coruscant.
But for Cad Bane, I would like to see him before he has the reputation. Yeah. And see him earn the reputation.
Or like what was his like one deed that like got him into it kind of thing.
Yeah, but I don't think we need to see, or it would even necessarily be good to see.
What does baby little Cad Bane look like?
What is baby Cad Bane doing? And like, what was the thing that just made him evil? Yeah. Or was he always evil? Because
I wouldn't say he's evil.
A lot of times those kinds of origins, like those origin stories are good for superheroes because it explains how they gain their superpowers. Yeah. But for, a character like Cad Bane who's just a bounty hunter with really no morals and no ethics.
Can we dial it back to Cad Bane being evil? I don't think he's evil.
No, I don't think he's not evil. He's a bad guy. Yeah, he's not evil.
He just has no morals or ethics. He'll do whatever he needs to make money.
I would disagree. I think
he's not Aura Singh, Steven.
Cad Bane, you never get the Cad Bane he's a bad guy. He's an antagonist.
Yes,
but you never get the vibe that he's like evil.
Oh, I do.
He's the kind of guy
you think Cad Bane would kill babies?
I think Cad Bane will kill anyone he needs to in order to accomplish his task.
I always get the vibe that Cad Bane is the kind of guy that he steals, but he would never harm women and children. He's
I think I think there's a degree here that we all kind of. I think he would. I don't think he would harm an innocent person for no reason.
He's not,
or like shoot a kid. Like when Darth Vader and Kenobi just like snap that kid's neck real fast.
Wild,
like I don't. That's definition textbook evil.
I think Cad
Bane has questionable morals, but I don't think he would do.
I think Cad Bane would blow up a building if he thought it was necessary to get his target.
I don't think we see that in Cad Bane at all in the Clone Wars.
I don't think he would blow up a whole building.
I don't think we see that level of.
Was he the one that held the
maliciousness.
senators hostage?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I take that back. Yeah, he probably would.
Like if he thought,
because in fact, I think he was going to blow up that building.
Yeah.
In the Clone Wars.
Yeah, he would definitely that chunk of the building. Like he would absolutely kill just random bystanders.
But in his mind, those are like corrupt politicians.
Well, even then, like the guards, the random aides that are walking around, like if he had to in order to get those senators.
I don't think Cad Bane would go out of his way to make sure innocents weren't involved.
Yeah, and I mean, if there was like some random secretary,
but he also wouldn't go out of his way to harm people for no reason.
No, I agree. I don't think he would just throw a thermal detonator in a crowd of people just because
I don't know. He's
his
not
target's
the Joker.
there.
He doesn't. He's not the Joker. But
you don't get the feeling that he takes like delight in the violence itself. It's just a means to an end.
But you don't have to take delight in it to be evil. Just the fact that he'd be willing to kill a bunch of innocent people as collateral in order to achieve his goal of getting his mark, then that to me would be evil.
I don't think he's as evil as you're portraying him.
See, this is all like a great thing because like evil in the galaxy far, far away is so much different than evil in other.
That's true.
In other fandoms, like evil in the galaxy far, far away eats planets.
Yeah.
It devours people's souls.
Yeah.
It is strictly, there is no room for marginal light.
I mean, evil is also, Hondo Ohnaka's gang, when they were on Felucia and they were going to just slaughter that entire village in order to take all their crops. Once they chose to fight back. Because as long as they were tithing, the majority of their crops to his gang, they were fine with them being there. But once they're like, we're not going to do it anymore, and I think it was Obi-Wan, then they were like, okay, we'll kill you all. Like, to me, that's also evil, even in a galaxy far, far away.
No, that is evil, but I think Hondo Ohnaka was bluffing.
Oh, I do too.
I don't think Hondo Ohnaka would actually do that, because I don't think Hondo Ohnaka is actually an evil person.
No, I don't think he's evil either.
I think he has a lot of bravado.
I think he has... Well, I think that Hondo Ohnaka maybe was evil in that way. But I think by the time we see him interacting with Ezra, he has... And now that he's more of a solo act, I think it's easier for him to let his personal morals and ethics come through. Because he doesn't have a whole gang of pirates
rely on him.
That are looking up to him that he needs to be a leader of. So... But I think even in the Star Wars in a galaxy far, far away, because that's part of what makes the stormtroopers and the Empire evil, is that they are willing to just roll through town and slaughter everyone.
I mean, yeah, it's also, the fascism of it and everything else.
So they don't need to be eating whole planets to still be evil.
No, but I think...
Though that is like the epitome of their evil, but...
So I think there would be a point that Cad Bane would be like, no, this is too much.
I think Cad Bane does have a limit, but
I think that limit is very, very...
I think there are
deep down the barrel.
I think it's more a limit on scope as opposed to
moral.
What he'll do.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a good analogy because like Boba Fett and Book of Boba Fett is a completely different person from EU Boba Fett. Like EU Boba Fett was a very different Boba.
Well, he also goes through a significant, like we talked about this when we covered Book of Boba Fett.
I wasn't part of
I remember the line that we said was the longer he spent with the Sand People, the more acceptable his change in demeanor is. And it was like 5 full years that he spent living with the Sand People. And so he went through a character development arc.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is that like Cad Bane hasn't had that. And
yeah, Cad Bane's just always been Cad Bane
he's
doing
just
Cad Bane things.
he's paid out to the highest bidder.
Yeah, I think if you hired him to assassinate a child, he'd do it.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he would.
I don't think he'd do it. I don't know.
I don't think he would. He wouldn't be like, all right, I'm gonna go protect it. He would just be like, no, I'm not taking that job. What else do you have? Like he wouldn't be like morally like no one should take this job. He would just be like, that's not for
like
me.
a random child, no. But like if it was say a young Amidala.
Oh, you mean like Django?
Yeah. If it was like, the child of a senator, and it's like, okay, the bad guys are like, okay, the senator didn't do what so now we're gonna kill the senator's family. I think Cad Bane would take that job.
I can see that.
Yes, but like I'm saying, if he did, I think the justification in his mind would be like almost like Robin Hood-esque, like moral of, like, they're rich, they don't deserve, etc. Right? But it's I think in his mind then it wouldn't be like an innocent quote unquote child, but I think just I've never gotten the vibe from Cad Bane that he's just a like
stone cold murderer.
Absolute. I would describe him as a stone cold murderer, just not of like children. Like like Darth Vader is literally murders children evil. And I don't think that Cad Bane is that.
How many people did he kill on that street just to try and play on Obi-Wan's compassion in order to force him out?
I don't. The only one I remember is the child. But like,
oh, you talking about Vader?
Yeah,
killed 3 people.
Because But
I could see Cad Bane.
But he killed that child.
I could see Cad Bane reaching a point of like Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy, where he's like delivering all these kids to.
Wow, it's just because they're blue.
Hold on. He's like delivering all these kids to Ego, and at some point he's like, "All right, like that's enough. Like this has to stop." And then he like takes Peter Quill. I could see Cad Bane doing something similar. Of like,
I don't know. That's
he gets,
to me.
like,
That's more of a Hondo Ohnaka.
Hondo Ohnaka is he's on the scale of good to evil. Hondo Ohnaka is way farther on the.
Well, because Hondo Ohnaka is like what Brady said. He's full of bravado. So, Yondu.
He's gonna say he's gonna murder a whole village, but he really isn't.
But like in
Yondu
Rebels,
kept
Hondo is like almost just a good guy.
Because that was what.
Like he's just a solid dude. He's like right this far away from just being a solid dude.
Because Yondu kept telling Peter, like, I'm gonna kill you. Like, if you mess up again, I'm going to kill you or I'm going to space you or whatever. But he never followed through, and I think that's more of a Hondo thing. Cad Bane, I think he'd follow through. Like, if he had to make the threat enough times, he'd just be like, I'm done with you.
So I think Cad Bane would do it to a point till he got tired of it. I don't think he would, in a sense, like Yondu did with Peter Quill. Like, he's just like, I'm going to do... Like, I think he would do the last job, and then he would just walk away. Like, I don't think he would speak out kind of like Yondu did to Ego.
I mean, I'm not saying he would do the exact... I'm just saying I could see him doing something similar of, like, having a point where he's like, this is too much. I could see Cad Bane at some point saying, this isn't right. Whereas, like, Hondo is more like Jack Sparrow. Like, Jack Sparrow is a criminal, but then, like, he's supposed to... harbor slaves, and he immediately is like, well, no, like, I don't do slaves, and then like that starts his whole arc. And so Hondo, it's a flawed comparison because they're very he's like a good guy in the wrong profession.
That's what I think. I think he's always been a great guy.
Hondo, I think, is a good comparison with Jack Sparrow.
But then like Cad Bane, like, is a bad guy, but again, I would not go as far as to describe him as like evil. Whereas like when you think evil, you're thinking Palpatine, Darth Vader,
I'm thinking vividly when Vader snapped that kid's neck in
like
Kenobi.
that, or when he,
yeah.
when
I'm
he-
thinking-
when he cut down.
I'm thinking
children.
I'm thinking Cad Bane when I think evil too. Well, I think there's the
We
dark
need
side
to
of the
remember
Force
who
evil.
we're talking to. He's
No.
like Mr. I only like black and red. The dark side is cool guy over here.
Yeah.
Should have taken that into consideration when we started this conversation.
Probably. I mean,
No, I
like,
think
I'll
it's
agree
fine.
that he's probably like a really bad guy, but I would not describe Cad Bane as like evil.
I guess it's just a difference in how you're conceptualizing evil within Star Wars.
But like if you like think about Cad Bane and
Well, you're conceptualizing it with like evil in general.
yeah.
And
I
I'm
think
not-
you are equating bad and evil to a much greater degree than we are.
I think for the Star Wars universe, Cad Bane is not evil.
I think in any universe, Cad Bane's not evil.
No, I mean, in a normal setting, Cad Bane could be considered an evil person. He's willing to blow up innocent people. He's willing to,
Yeah,
blow
did
a whole
he-
building up. He's willing to do these things. He's
In
willing to
the
hunt down a
episode-
child.
In the episode where they're at that conference.
Yeah, and he holds them all hostage and threatens
Was
to
he-
blow them up.
Yeah, there was the senators in the room when Padme had Anakin's lightsaber on her.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was another one where they were at a conference, and I think his target was Palpatine. And Palpatine was speaking in front of a bunch of people, and they were like on some outdoor platform. Was he willing to blow up that platform?
I don't remember. I don't even remember this scenario.
Is that in the arc when Obi-Wan goes undercover?
No, because he's on a different planet. He's part of. You're talking about when he like becomes that bounty hunter.
Yeah, no, that's a different.
That's
That
a,
might be. That actually might be that arc.
Is it?
Because he insinuates himself into that crew
Yeah, he does.
that's going to.
Was Cad Bane part of that crew?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he
Oh.
was. Because
Yeah.
that's how... Because at some point he realizes it's...
Yeah, after. Because that was Dooku's plot to kill Palpatine. And it was some conference and it had a bunch of people. And I think part of it was they were planning bombs or something. I think.
But again, at that point...
Like, Cad Bane does not care about collateral damage at all.
No, but I think in
I
the
think he... If it was like Palpatine reading it to a kindergarten classroom, I don't think Cad Bane's blowing up the classroom. If Palpatine is giving an address to a bunch of like high-level politicians, that is much more like... Cad Bane can make that jump of morality much more easily.
I think if we want to like just break this down, like I still think in like the galaxy far, far away, Cad Bane's not evil.
I agree.
He's a bad guy, considering the people that exist in the galaxy far, far away. He's a very bad guy, but he is not evil. He's not. He has no desire to rule galaxies. He has no desire to enslave people. He has no desire to, groom a child and to.
I guess I just see there are more than one type of evil in Star Wars. You have the dark side evil,
But like that's
which
the
is
thing.
evil on steroids.
But it's not evil. That's evil, and then there's bad.
Well,
The Oxford language's definition of evil is profoundly immoral and wicked. I would not describe Cad Bane as wicked. I would describe him as immoral. I don't know if I would go as far to say profoundly immoral and wicked.
Like, this is another problem with like you're considering like the dark side force people like a different tier of evil.
Yeah.
Whereas
I think they're just evil.
yeah, because everything in the galaxy far, far away is influenced by the force. Everything. So then by that note, every bad person is evil.
There
a
we
child steals a bubble gum. You're evil.
This is what I'm saying. Of like we're using
and that's why they're
You're
consigned to
equating-
1313.
you're equating bad to evil to the degree that we're not, because you're saying Cad Bane is evil and the Sith are more evil, whereas we're saying Cad Bane is bad but not evil and the Sith are evil. But again, this makes sense because of who you are and the people that you choose to.
So what about the Night Sisters and Mother Talzin? Are they evil?
Mother Talzin is evil. The Night Sisters are victims of circumstance. They're indoctrinated at youth.
Yeah, but a lot of them are born into it.
Exactly. They don't know any different. Would you consider that evil? Sure, they make evil choices, but that doesn't make them.
I would say it does.
All right. Well, we didn't talk about
Revenge of the Sith
much, but we did actually spend a significant amount of time talking about Anakin and
We did.
his significance. And I think that kind of counts.
I mean, like, it was Revenge of the Sith. It was awesome. It was awesome to see Hayden Christensen welcome us to a special screening.
Yeah, it was sick.
Apparently, he and Samuel Jackson made an appearance.
A physical appearance in LA, and I was
Yep.
just like, man, it sucks to be in another state.
Sometimes.
You know,
Sometimes it does.
LA gets all the cool crap.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been. I'm going to give that another go. Don't cut that. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Always Two There Are, a Star Wars discussion podcast. Thank you for joining us. You can reach us with any questions, comments, and or concerns at a2ta.humancyborgrelations@gmail.com, or you can find us on Instagram at a2ta.pod, because we now have an Instagram page.
Josiah's over here beaming at that.
It's nice to be able to say something other than the email, plus something that's more accessible. No one's going to email us questions.
That's
Please
true.
do. Please do.
Questions.
If you have the desire, please email us questions.
You can also just leave
You
a
can also
question in the
DM
comments.
us. Leave a question in the comments. You can DM us.
We're old
Yeah,
school.
we're
Fax
gonna-
us. Or
We're
fax
gonna
us your
we're gonna
questions.
start
no.
we're gonna start releasing some content. I want to do some of our like top fives
Oh,
on
we're
the
gonna do-
page and some
Is that what we're gonna do next week? Is top five
ships.
personal ships, like small solo flyer type ships.
Can we not just do top 5 ships?
If you want to,
Because like, would you consider the Millennium Falcon in that?
yeah.
Yeah, it's a personal ship.
When I said like personal ships, I'm like excluding things like
Imperial
the
Star Destroyer.
Star Destroyers and giant ships that have crews of thousands.
Yeah, because like the X-Wing was Luke's personal ship.
Yeah.
He kept it all the way throughout the books, too.
Yep. So like just small personal spaceships.
I'm down. So yeah, next week, look forward to that and some kind of topic that we will decide on in the future. This has been you know all the things. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Alrighty.
May the Force go with you.
Adios.
Oh, good heavens.